Do you want me to just go down this list of things? Some more interesting than the other, but I'll just say them all out loud and we can have a conversation about them. 24 new languages added to Google Translate.
I love that.
At first I was like, that number is not too crazy, but I realized I didn't know a single language listed. So I wondered how many they have. This now brings the total to 133 different languages.
Google has so much data.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also
step one.
Didn't they briefly talk about how the way they're helping with translation is like, if there's not direct translations between some languages, they use a different language as like an in-between.
Like a bridge.
Yeah,
language.
to like kind of make things together. I thought that was really fascinating.
Sort of makes sense because most languages are sort of based in roots.
Yeah.
And so you can sort of branch out from there. Like English is Germanic. So that's why a lot of English sounds like German words.
Yeah. So that's a lot of smarts, but also a lot of data.
Crazy.
It's a lot of data.
Yeah. And computing
I'm just going to keep repeating this sentence every new point.
Is that just how you're going to answer all the things
hit the
I've
next
written?
one.
Okay.
Hit the next one.
Immersive view with Google Maps.
Oh, so you're saying they're mapping the entire planet?
Pretty much in like insane.
I'm ready for it.
It was like
that's a lot of data.
That is a lot of data.
We need the like staples.
Trying to say it before you get to there.
We need the staples I'm feeling lucky button, but instead that's a lot of data.
The easy button, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling lucky. Is
that was
another
easy,
Google thing. That was easy. Yes, the easy button. Okay. That was sweet.
It was like SimCity, like Civilization looked crazy. Yeah. And then they also had it.
Was that a reaction to Apple making like ultra high realistic map stuff?
They did. They have like
they only did that for a
stuff,
couple
right?
cities though.
So Apple did in a couple of their very specific cities. They went in and they did these super high quality maps where I don't know if you've ever like accelerated down the street in Google Maps, but when you hit the arrow, it's just a blur, and then it sharpens into the next image. And in these Apple maps, you could actually sort of drive down the street, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you actually look around. And so Google is improving the quality of a lot of their maps in a lot of places. And one of the things they did was let you go inside of these places.
This was crazy.
And it would stitch together. You remember photospheres, right?
Yeah.
So you go into a place, you can look around a photosphere with your phone and then move to a different part of the bar and look around that part in a new photosphere. Yeah. It would stitch them together in a way that looked like a drone shot flying through the bar.
It was so cool.
That's a lot of data.
And it didn't look weird like a photosphere. Like one of the first photos I have in my Google Photos is a photosphere in San Francisco from like way back when they launched it. And it looks so bad because you had to be like, take a photo, move, take a photo, move.
Yeah.
But this, like the interiors that the Google Maps did just looks amazing. It looks like a rendered 3D space.
And like the way they showed it in video literally looked like an FPV drone came in and like did that typical like swoop around before it hits a wall and look back. It looked
I'm wondering like how many cities they're going to do this in, how many restaurants they're going to do this in, like do they have to do every single one individually, or are they able to like take photos that people have already uploaded for reviews on Google Maps?
So, I mean, this is just the keynote, and they went over it at a high level. I'm not sure how much information we're going to get, but I do imagine this is limited.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to be able to just do this. By the way, I love this feature as the socially anxious person I am. I want to be able to map out exactly where I'm going to go somewhere, and so when I get the drone shot that shows me exactly where I get to go, that's just beautiful.
What is my walking route?
I could see it potentially pulling images, though, because they did show something later about being able to use Google Lens for food and find nearby places like that. So it was basically taking a picture of a platter of food, using the points that it would find in that, and then using like Google Maps reviews and the photos inside of those to try and find another food platter that looked like it to show you local stuff.
Oh, I bet it does.
They're pulling from that, obviously.
It probably does image recognition based on people's reviews of the restaurant.
The photos that they're uploading.
What food that restaurant offers.
That's really cool.
That is so much data.
Really that's a lot of data.
Okay.
And
slap.
Just to go off that, it's a Google Lens, and they also added something called scene exploration. So rather than taking one photo, you can stitch together almost a panoramic view of photos. The example they showed was with a shelf full of chocolate, panned over the entire shelf of chocolate, and then it was individually picking bars of chocolate that were meeting your needs of like nut-free dark chocolate, and then ratings based on it.
That's so amazing. In places like that where there's just like thousands of options and it takes you forever to go through them, if you could just know
We were talking about like
indexing
wine or something like that. If
Yeah.
you knew you liked some sort of red wine with
Yeah.
like a fruity note or something like that, it could show you other ones potentially.
Sometimes-
I think that could be really cool.
Sometimes I'm in a wine
If
store.
pairs
like,
of Crocs, if you want to make sure that they are similar to the pair that
See,
you like
I was
already.
with you, and then
I was
you just
trying to
lost
go-
me. Right at the Crocs, you lost me.
no, sometimes I'll go to a wine store before a party, and a friend of mine will be like, "Can you grab this specific wine?" And it's like, I'm gonna be 30 minutes because there are hundreds of bottles of wine. Like, I don't know how to find that.
Yeah.
So
now you
this
can
would be-
literally Google it
Yeah,
in the store.
in real space.
Sick.
That's awesome. That's a lot of data.
We got a
There you
little
go.
we got a little AI automated TLDR in Google Docs. So if you're in a collaborative document, you get a really long doc going with a whole bunch of sections and a bunch of contributors. They'll make a TLDR for you based on what AI thinks are the most important things. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that's
I liked
notes.
that a lot.
That's really
I thought
good.
that was really
That
cool.
got a big cheer because I
information.
think there's a lot of people that work in Google Docs that have big collaborative documents
Yeah.
like that want the Spark Notes of the doc.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see.
Spark Notes was ahead of their time.
Yep. Google. So we talked about, Nest Hub Max I have one in my house. It's a smart speaker with a screen on it,
Yeah, smart display.
with a camera on it, and with a bunch of sensors facing into the room. Anytime I want it to do anything, I still have to bark at it out loud, say the Hey G command like any other smart speaker. They added a new one, or actually a pair of new ways to activate it that don't involve that exact thing. First, you can look at it.
Make eye contact.
It will know that you've made eye contact with it, and then it'll start listening for whatever command. Kind of cool. Not as natural because I'm usually halfway across the room, but maybe I don't want to say
Yeah.
the command, so I just look at it and say, what time is it? Even though the time's on the screen
Yeah.
already.
The
It'll-
demo they showed, like, she had to kind of lean in and stare at it. And
Yeah.
they're like, you could just tap it maybe.
You had to like mean mug it. Like you
Yeah.
had to.
If you could do it
gave
from across
glare.
the room, that would be nice.
It would be cool, yeah.
But
Yeah. I notice every morning when I walk past it, and I walk like 4 feet from it, I look over at it, and it says, "Hey, Marquez," and it gives me my things for the day.
briefing
So
thing.
I'm like, within 5 feet of it, it's kind of cool to be able to look over and be able to talk to it. But I like the second one better, which is a bunch of no trigger commands that you can just say out loud, and the mics will pick you up and just do it. So instead of saying, "Hey G, set a timer," or "Hey G, what's the weather?" you can be in the room and just say, "What's the weather in Argentina?" And it'll tell you. I should probably be more specific and give it like a city, but it'll tell you without you having to say the command. The list of commands is setting a timer, asking for the time, which is hilarious because it says the time all the time anyway. Turn some lights on or off in your smart home. Cancel a timer or set a new timer or alarm. Dim or brighten your lights, and ask for the weather. So some of the most basic common stuff.
yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing I'm not quite sure about here. At first, when they said this, we were all thinking this is for any Google Home, like mini regular home Nest.
I
think it's only Nest Home Max
I think that
because there was a slide previously that said quick phrase. The slide that said quick phrases before they showed it says Nest Home Max on it, and I'm very confused about that.
I would like this to be on everything.
I would kind of the way they described it sounded like it was on everything.
They said we're expanding our quick phrases, and I know right now you can say stop when a timer is
Yeah.
ending. So that is a quick phrase, and it would be nice. I like being able to ask for the time
I would
without the
kill-
quick phrase is amazing.
Yeah. So they all have far field mics, so they can all hear you theoretically. So the
Yeah.
only reason I could see it being just Nest Hub Max is if it's doing some sort of authentication first to know it's you. But it also should know that from your voice. So I'm not
Also,
sure.
what's the problem with the stranger asking for the weather?
True. True.
You know, these are specific quick phrases. It's not
Yeah.
like you're able to do anything you want with them.
I also don't get why it would be something different than the like look to activate, because if look to activate can
Works on anyone.
confirm and it works on you and then you can ask it anything, what's the difference between then now these phrases that's only available on Nest Hub Max?
Yeah.
Is
That'd
it
be
just
worth-
that like the vicinity's a little bigger on it?
That'd be worth clarifying.
Maybe it has more built-in memory.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would like to clarify that at some point. If that's available on all of them, I don't care about look to
Yeah.
activate on anything, because these are the things I want to turn my lights off and I want to set an alarm all the time.
I want to walk into a room and be like, "What's the weather?" and not even blink,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
I would love to use the time thing when I'm in the shower trying to get ready to leave. I ask my Google Nest Wi-Fi every morning what the weather's going to be, which asking my router what the weather is already funny, but
Yep.
just being able to wake up, open my eyes and be like, what's the weather? That would be great.
Yeah,
that'd be
really
awesome.
nice,
That's
yeah.
the
Sick.
future.
So we got a little bit about LaMDA. 2.
Yeah.
LaMDA 2. The LaMDAing.
So here's a little bit of a scoop. We're working on a video right now about a different AI project from a different company. And we've been thinking about this video for a long time in this project and just how powerful and impressive these general AI systems can be at connecting natural language with like associated language or images or whatever it is. LaMDA is right up this alley. It is limited and we can sign up for a preview, but I'm just going to say, Google, if you're watching this, I would love to try LaMDA 2. If we could get access to it and like try it and do some
AI
video with this, that'd be sick. But basically the demo they did on stage that I loved was, you basically just type in, what would it be like on Mars? Like what would it be like to live on Mars? And it just dreams up a paragraph of sentences based on information from the internet about what it would be like to live on Mars. And you can type in whatever you want. What would it be like to live inside a scoop of ice cream? I don't know. What would it be like to get swallowed by a whale? And it just answers you.
This is definitely an extension of last year's LaMDA, which was giving sentience to inanimate objects. So it was like asking Pluto, asking the moon, like, what are you? Like, what's your life been like? You know? And so this is sort of an extension of that, where now you're going further and you're telling stories and you're creating things that don't exist out of nothing, which is sort of the crazy part of AI that we're starting to get into now over the last couple of years, is like AI creating its own stuff that's not even really based on anything in particular. It's
but
like
in a way
learning
that,
ideas.
But it's also weirdly based on
Weirdly
everything.
based on everything is stacked. Like it's learning things based on models and based on databases, but then it is creating new things by itself.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what this is doing too.
Things that make sense because of its based in reality nature. Yeah. It's fascinating.
The funny thing we saw though was every time it would tell a story, it would always say, "I think this. I think it would be like this." And I don't know if that's just like a legality thing. They don't want LaMDA to lie to people or something.
I think that's what it is. Like, what would it be like if I jumped off this building? I think, Google's not going to tell you to do something. I think there's it's the same way. So we're talking about OpenAI, DALL-E, making images out of text. You have to disclose anytime you share any of the images that it generates that it is made by an AI.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Just in case it looks too close to reality or if it resembles something someone might think is real.
Yeah.
And I think the I think statement is kind of part of Google's way of doing that with
disclosing.
These executions.
Yeah, ethical AI has been like a major point of interest in the last few years, even though Google like got into a bunch of controversy for firing their head of ethical AI like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I don't know. There was this major controversy thing. But overall, the entire industry has definitely been thinking about that more. That might have been a spark, honestly.
As it gets better, you have to be more up on top of the whole disclosure thing.
Yeah.
As you'll see from the DALL-E video we eventually make, you have to disclose.
It's coming up.
It's crazy.
They also were very specific at the end of a few, because it's, still early in LaMDA. If you were using it, they had a couple disclaimers of one of them being results may be offensive. So I'm very interested in what might
That's
pop up in there.
also like different people consider different things offensive.
Very true.
That's kind of a catch-all.
And I'm sure it doesn't, know how to tell all of that from what it's pulling from the internet.
Yeah,
directly.
I think it's probably a lot of accidental like association too. I think they just use the word offensive as a blanket word for like anything you don't want like your kid to read from an AI. So
totally,
they're being safe about it. But same thing with DALL-E.
These are actually every year though at Google I/O, the AI demos are probably one of my favorite things that they show off, because it's just that's like holy crap, the technology is getting insane kind of thing.
The future.
This is sort of my favorite thing.
This is also one of those weird things that I could only see Google doing. Like we've kept saying they have so much data. So like it's pretty clear that they are able to do this because of all the data they have. But it's like, okay, I compare this to an Apple keynote, and there are certain things that Apple can do that you're like, yeah, only Apple could pull this off. And as we were watching, I think they had a whole section on safety, and as I'm watching that, I'm like, if you have to have someone come up on stage just to promise to the world that this is going to be okay, we're doing it safely and responsibly, then you have a lot of data. You have a lot going on.
I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago when they first demoed the Google Assistant being able to call restaurants and like not tell the restaurants it was an AI and make appointments for you and be like, hey, I'm calling to make an appointment for this person. Yeah, 7:30, and it would use like human annotations and stuff. They got in so much heat over that
Because they didn't disclose, right?
because they didn't disclose that it was a robot. They
Yeah.
changed the whole thing to be like, "Hi, I am a Google Assistant calling for this person. I am a robot made by Google," and
Yeah.
then the restaurants just hang up on you.
That's the thing.
It's
I
like,
bet they did a
that's
lot of testing.
Yeah.
Where like, in order to be most effective, you literally have to trick someone into
Yep.
thinking it is a human.
Yep.
Which is very irresponsible.
Right.
But it just works way better that way. So if you work for Google, you're like, well, okay, anytime I get a call and I screen someone with like Google's, what is it called?
Screen calling?
Yeah, screen calling.
Yeah.
It immediately goes
Call
like
screening. That's what
call
it's
screening.
call
It's
screening,
like the person you're trying to reach is using a call screening service by Google.
Yeah.
75% of people
gonna
hang
hang
up
up.
immediately
Yeah.
when they hear that. So when you're
Which, to be honest, I want most people to hang up when they hit that
probably
point
yeah,
anyway.
but some people they make it through the screening and it's
Yeah.
like someone I needed to talk to.
Yeah.
But if you're running a restaurant and you get a call and it's someone and you pick up the phone and you're waiting for someone to
What do you need?
order pizza, you're like on the phone already, you're rushing, and so it's just someone like, this is a robot calling you. You're just gonna hang up like
Yeah,
immediately.
That's the problem. It's
So-
such a push and pull. It's
Yeah.
like it would work better, but also the like implications are not good.
Yeah.
It's
so how do
we're-
they how do they move forward with it? It's like they have
know.
to keep getting better at impersonating humans, but also immediately tell everyone they're not a human.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's sort of the same thing with like deepfakes, right? It's like we want to get better and better at creating photorealistic things, but then the amount of irresponsible things you can do with a deepfake is outrageous.
It's off the charts.
Yeah, like there have already been deepfakes on Twitter that have sparked a ton of controversy that it was later found out they were not real.
Did you see the new Kendrick Lamar
So
video
good.
with deepfakes in it?
It's really
had deepfakes
good.
in it?
Yeah.
It is deepfakes. It's just him and different people over his face while he's
Oh,
rapping.
wow.
It's insanely well done. There's a couple little moments where you can tell it's like not quite real. You can see the like slip up of maybe like his mouth looking a little different, but it's
Yeah.
insanely good. I highly recommend
It's
watching
very
it.
good. I find myself, like, I'm just remembering, we also talked about a Kendrick Lamar music video a few years ago where he had the robot shots going. The cinematography in Kendrick Lamar music videos is pushing the technological limits. I want to just give Kendrick Lamar a shout out for that.
Bring him on the podcast.
Deep fakes, robot shots, like clone shots, all that type of stuff. Shout out to Kendrick. Good stuff.
Shout out.
Good looks.
Shout out to-
I know he needs the shout out from the
He
Waveform
definitely
podcast.
needs it, yeah.
Young up and coming artist. He might make it big someday. All right, this clip has been brought to you by Sundar Pichai's jacket collection. Unfortunately, I've been using Google Lens to try to figure out what jacket he's wearing every single time, and it never tells me. So I understand this is a very powerful product. I just need it to work on your own jackets, Google. That's all I ask.
If you know what the jacket is, leave it in the comments.
Please leave in the comments.
Do they sell them at Everlane?
I don't know what that means.
Why wasn't Sundar at the Met Gala? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's a good. Yeah, you could have asked him.
You know,
there.
like connecting the dots, like Google,
That's
YouTube,
true.
fashion. I'm just saying.
Yeah. He is a fashion icon.
You're bigger than him in Google's eyes.
I guess so.
You are.
but he is Google.
His jacket's nicer though.
That's very true.
Wow.
Fair.
Let's wrap it up before I get fired.
Please like and subscribe.
See you guys later.
Like and subscribe.